Good evening, friends. Welcome to this live session. I am Joseph. So in this session, I'm going to give an introduction to the Center for Philosophy in JNU and the various courses and programs offered by the same center, that is the Center for Philosophy. So let me begin by introducing myself. I am Joseph. I'm a third year PhD scholar here. My research area is analytic philosophy. I do work on metaphor in analysis. So my work is going on. So today I thought of sharing with you some of my experiences to prepare for JNU philosophy entrance test in MA, M.Phil and PhD. So Babu, are you there? Am I audible? Yes, Stansin, thanks for listening. So let's begin with an introduction to the Center for Philosophy in JNU. We offer Masters in Philosophy, then M.Phil and then PhD. Okay, Inderjit, I will try to speak louder. I think it is audible right now. Yes. So I think that all of you are intensively preparing for the test. So you know that the final date for registration is extended to 30th of April. And probably the entrance test will be from 11 to 14. Okay, right. So, the mode of test will be computer based or CBT, and the question pattern will be multiple choice questions, that is MCQ. So what you can do, I request all of you, those who have not applied, visit the website and apply as early as possible. Yes, in this session, I'll be talking about the various programs like MA, M.Phil and PhD, right? So how to prepare for this and how to crack the test and how to prepare your research proposal and get the admission in JNU. Right. So let's begin with the MA. The intake or the number of people, the students are going to admitted this year will be 31. So 31 people will be admitted this year. And of course, there will be a tight competition, and that means you have to prepare well, and you have a lot of time during this lockdown. So this is the right time to prepare. So what is the eligibility? The eligibility is you should have at least 50% marks in humanities, and if you're coming from other discipline like science and technology, you must have 55% in your bachelor's level. I'll be responding to the questions in between, so let me talk for some time. So the structure of the course will be, the MA course will be, there will be 16 courses, and out of the 16, 10 will be compulsory and 6 will be optional. So all these things are given clearly in the prospectus. So I request all of you to download the prospectus from the university website and get the details. So our focus will be here, how to deal with the test and the interview. As you all know, there is no Viva or interview for a MA program. Viva or interview is for M.Phil and PhD. So your concern must be the computer-based test, how to crack it. it is MCQ. You have to choose between the options. The thing is that many years back it was descriptive, so it was much easy for us to answer. But right now it is MCQ. It's like it's like a UGC net exam, the same pattern. You have to choose the right answer from the 4 options given. The thing is that if you do not have a clear idea about the right answer, then you'll be confused. You find that all the 4 options are right. So in such a case, you may not be able to answer properly. So in order to avoid this problem, you have to prepare well. You must have clear conceptual clarity regarding the debates of Indian philosophy and Western philosophy. Of course, there are things like deprivation points. That is, if you are coming from a really backward area of the country, economically backward area, you'll get some points. So such things are given clearly in the prospectus. So please download the prospectus and read about what is deprivation points. That is something special about the JNU. And okay, now let me get back to the preparation. How to prepare? It will be rather easy for the students who have completed bachelor's in philosophy from different universities. But it will be a difficult job for the students from other disciplines. So I request the students who have completed bachelor's in philosophy or BA philosophy to revise your BA syllabus. Go through it again and again and be clear. You may feel that you have learned it and it's clear, but when you get into the exam center and you may get confused. So I request you to get clarity regarding the BA syllabus. And the students from other disciplines, of course, will be giving you a lot of materials for reading. You can contact us and you can email me directly. I will send you the reference materials. Hi, Gulam. Hello. Am I clear? Is there any problem in the communication? If there is any problem, please let me know. Yes. So in philosophy, we have 2 major areas. One is Western philosophy and second is Indian philosophy. So now I am going to tell you how to prepare the vast area of Western philosophy. It starts from the pre-Socratic and ends with the contemporary applied philosophy or and cognitive science. So you must have a clear idea about the historical timeline of the philosophy. You must start with the pre-Socratic thinkers, Thales, Anaximander. Then you have to go to Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Then medieval philosophy, before that Hellenistic philosophy, Stoicism, Epicureanism. Then you have to get into the medieval thinking of the Catholic Church or the scholasticism like St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine, like that. Then we have to come to the modern philosophy of René Descartes. Then the empirical and rationalist tradition. Empiricism, you have the ideas of John Locke, George Berkeley and David Hume. Then you have to come to the rationalist tradition of René Descartes, Spinoza, Leibniz. Then you come to Immanuel Kant, then Hegel, Marx. Then you come to existentialism, Soren Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, and the whole tradition of existentialism. Then you come to contemporary philosophy like analytic tradition, analysis, then continental tradition, phenomenology of Husserl, phenomenology of Heidegger, Merleau-Ponty, Gadamer, and there are many other thinkers in that tradition. So you just follow this historical timeline. So what I am saying is that you must have a clear idea about the history of Western philosophy. You must begin with the pre-Socratic thinkers through Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and now then you have to come to the contemporary or the current scenario like applied philosophy, where you apply philosophy to the current debates like environmental degradation, gender studies, feminism, ecology. So these are all the contemporary things like business ethics. There are different things. So then you must you can also read about cognitive science, where at present philosophy is becoming more and more interdisciplinary. That means many disciplines are coming together and they study. For example, cognitive science is an interdisciplinary study where philosophy, psychology, neuroscience, computer science are coming together and merging. And you have to deal with all the Western philosophers, and you have to know the major works of the Western philosophers and their key ideas. For example, when you talk about Nietzsche, what is Übermensch, what is Superman, what is Dionysus, and when you talk about Heidegger, what is Dasein, what is being in the world, what is das Man, what is present at hand, what is ready at hand, what is clearing. Each philosopher has his own very special ideas and terms, so you must be clear about those things. And apart from philosophers, you must also be familiar with the major schools of philosophy like existentialism, rationalism, empiricism, phenomenology, analytic philosophy, and like that. So be clear about all the schools of philosophy and the major debates, major discourses, and the major concepts in each and every school. Apart from that, you must have some basic idea about the logic. There are different things in logic: fallacy, propositions, syllogism, truth table, dilemma. There are many things. Those things are given in the syllabus. So you must brush up and you must refresh your understanding regarding all these things. Of course, we'll be giving you the notes through email. You can read and prepare. So right now I'm talking about the MA preparation. So now we come to another difficult area in philosophy, that is difficult but interesting, that is Indian philosophy. So how to prepare Indian philosophy? When you talk about Indian philosophy in general, you have two divisions. The first one is the classical Indian philosophy, where you find Nyaya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Sankhya, Buddhism, Jainism, Charvakism, and so on. So these are the classical Indian traditions. Apart from that, you have contemporary Indian philosophy. It's not so contemporary, but the philosophies of Gandhi, Ambedkar, and many other contemporary figures like Vivekananda, Radhakrishnan. There are different other people. So you must be clear about their ideas. So now let me talk about how to prepare the classical Indian tradition. So I request all those who are preparing for MA, M.Phil and PhD to listen to these ideas. It will be useful for you. The problem of M.Phil and PhD, it will be the difficult thing will be preparing a research proposal. So that's a second part. But first of all, you have to clear the written test. So you must be clear about the basic concepts. So this will be useful even for you, right? So in classical Indian philosophy, you must be clear about the Vedic and Upanishadic philosophy. Stands in. I'll be talking about logic and ethics soon. When you talk about the Vedic and Upanishadic philosophy, you have things like Rita or the cosmic rhythm, then Yajna, and then basically the most important idea of Indian philosophy, the Atman and Brahman, the self. What is the difference between Atman and Brahman in different schools of Indian philosophy? Then you have Charvakism. Charvakism is an Indian materialist school, Indian materialism. It denies the existence of a soul, God, and every metaphysical ideas. Then you have Jainism and Buddhism. Then you have to talk about Sankhya philosophy and yoga. These are connected, Sankhya, yoga. Then we have Nyaya and Vaisheshika. Vaisheshika is the Indian atomism. Then Purva Mimamsa and Vedanta of Sri Shankara. There Shankara talk about the Aham Brahmasmi, the link between Atman and Brahman. Then in Vedanta itself, you have schools like Dvaita Vedanta of Madhava, then Vishishta Dvaita of or qualified dualism by non-dualism by Ramanuja. Right? For these things, I'll be suggesting some books soon. So now the second part of Indian philosophy, that is the contemporary Indian philosophy. Right? In contemporary Indian philosophy, you have major figures like Swami Vivekananda, the practical Vedanta, Aurobindo, then Iqbal, Tagore, K.C. Bhattacharya, Radhakrishnan, Krishnamurti, Gandhi. Apart from that, you must have a clarity regarding logic, the fundamental ideas of logic. You must have studied logic in your bachelor's level, so be clear about those basic logical concepts like truth, validity of propositions, then what is proposition, what is syllogism, what's the difference between hypothetical and a categorical syllogism, what is a square opposition, what is symbolic logic, what is truth table, what is Venn diagram, what is fallacy, what is induction and deduction. So now let's talk about the resources, how to prepare. So the thing is that many things like if you go to the shops, Xerox shops outside, you will get notes like Patanjali, like a capsule kind, you get the things like this. There you talk about 5 to 10 pages. They talk about everything. I have come across something called Patanjali notes. Many people are using for net preparation. But I think that those capsule nutshell kind of things are rather confusing, because they'll be talking about too many things in too little pages. So ultimately you will be confused. So what you have to do, you have to go to the proper textbooks. So these notes like Patanjali will be helpful to have some idea, but if you entirely depend on things like Patanjali notes and other online resources, you will be in confusion. You may not be able to answer the questions properly because you will be confused, because the options will be all the options will be true for you, so you will be in confusion. Of course, there is a symbolic logic. It will come in the test. You don't worry, the basic aspect of symbolic logic. So Stanton, you must have a basic idea about the symbolic logic. That will be enough. And we'll be sharing with you the notes. So you don't have to worry much about that. So right now I am introducing some useful books for your preparation. The first one is this book. You can see it is Fundamentals of Indian Philosophy by Ramakrishna Puligandla. So this will be an interesting book for you. It is rather systematic, nicely put. The author is Ramakrishna Puligandla. Maybe after the lockdown you can buy this from Amazon. It is available on Amazon. Later you can think of buying it. The author talks about all the schools of Indian philosophy and some idea about the contemporary Indian thinking. So please try to get this book if it is possible. Maybe after the lockdown you visit the nearest library or any bookstall and get this book. Another important book is the most of us will be depending on this book. That is a critical survey of Indian philosophy by C.D. Sharma. So this is the most recommended book for your preparation. So I'm telling you, you must get this book and you must read this. So a clear reading will be very helpful for you to deal with the Indian philosophy. So this is a critical survey of Indian philosophy by C.D. Sharma. So please try to have a glance through this book and if possible you later buy this book. Then apart from this I have a few suggestions. Next is another book by Satish Chandra Chatterjee, that is Introduction to Indian Philosophy, that you can buy online. Another book is a book by Hiriyanna, M. Hiriyanna. The book name is Outlines of Indian Philosophy. Apart from that, if you don't feel like reading too many books, I would recommend you to watch some very good online lectures. If you go to Madras IIT website, you find Indian philosophy lectures by Professor Satyasundar Sethi. Professor Sethi talks about the entire Indian philosophical tradition in around 50 lectures. So you can watch all the 50 lectures. I'll send you the link. Please contact me. Please comment below. I will send you the link to that particular lecture series. Apart from Satyasundar Sethi's lectures, you can also watch some interesting lectures from CEC, UGC lectures. These things are available on YouTube. You go to YouTube and search for Satyasundar Sethi Indian Philosophy Lectures and CEC, UGC lectures. I'll be giving you the links, so don't worry. Then in Western philosophy, I have some suggestions. It will be there in the notes I give you. First is Blackwell Companion to Philosophy. It's edited by Nicholas Bonin. Second is Philosophy by Stephen Lowe. Third one is the Great Philosophers. This book, The Great Philosophers by Stephen Lowe. It's an interesting book. It talks about most of the most important philosophers in the tradition, like this. So please try to get this book. I think you can download this book from online. And another book is Columbia History of Western Philosophy. You can download from Libgen. Next is Philosophy and the Philosophers, Introduction to Western Philosophy by John Shand. Next book is The Philosophers, Introducing Great Western Thinkers. It is a very small book, very precise. You can finish within one day. So that gives you a comprehensive idea about the Western philosophical tradition. I have the collection of all these books. If you want, I can send you, or you can directly download from Libgen. Apart from these books, I can tell you some online resources. You can watch some online videos. One is the most interesting thing is Western Philosophy, History of Western Philosophy lectures by Professor Arthur Holmes from Wheaton College. So this lecture series, he gives around 80 lectures. He starts with the pre-Socratic thinkers and he ends with the contemporary philosophers. So there is a lecture series in YouTube. Please watch it. Next is another lecture series by Professor Sri Kumar Nellikapilli from IIT Madras. He's a professor in IIT Madras and he gives you a lecture series. He's also starting from the pre-Socratics and ends with the postmodernism. So his lectures are very clear, very useful for us Indian scholars. And you can even download his notes from the IIT Madras website. We will be sharing with you the links. Right. Of course, Yadendra, the last book is The Philosophers, Introducing Great Western Thinkers. The author is Ted Honderick. Please text me. I will send you the book. You can read it. So now, I was talking about the preparation for a master's in philosophy. So what I'm telling you, you must have a clear idea about the whole tradition, like classical Western philosophy and contemporary Western philosophy, and classical Indian philosophy and contemporary Indian philosophy. You must have a clear idea. Don't depend on the notes you get from somewhere in the market, but read standard original books of the authors to avoid confusions, and watch the YouTube lectures I have suggested. Your selection will be based on your merit, purely based on your performance in the computer-based test. There is no interview for you. So now I am going to the M.Phil, how to crack the M.Phil entrance. For the M.Phil, I recommend you to please listen to what I said in the past 5 to 10 minutes. Read the essentials like classical Indian philosophy, contemporary Indian philosophy, classical Western and contemporary Western philosophy, like that, and be clear about that. And it is like something. The test will be like the net pattern, and it may not be a difficult problem for you to crack the test, but your major problem will be the interview or the viva. Once you clear the written test, you will have to appear for an interview or a viva test. So that is the most difficult aspect of your selection. So this time JNU offers 10 seats for entrance test and 5 seats for a JRF. So those who have JRF, those who qualified JRF, they don't have to go for the entrance test. They can directly come for the viva or the interview. Those who do not have have a JRF, they have to go through the entrance test and clear the test and get a minimum percentage mark. Then they will be qualified to appear for the viva. So if you want to apply for M.Phil and PhD in philosophy, you can do that 2 options. Your question paper will be the same. There is no separate questions for M.Phil and PhD. So the mark you scored will be considered for both M.Phil and PhD. So I am telling you, don't apply twice. Apply only once. You can have maximum 3 options. And if you apply twice, your application will be rejected. So be careful while applying. You apply once and you take 3 options. So the mode of question will be, the thing is that 15, the intake is 15. That means 15 candidates will be selected for the M.Phil program in JNU. So in the interview, 45 people will be invited for interview or the viva. So that means 15 into 3 times of the intake. So 15 into 3, that is 45. So 45 students or the candidates will be appearing for the interview. And out of the 45, 15 will be selected. There are 10 from entrance test and 5 from JRF. So your test is MCQ computer based. Okay. Then what are the requirements or the prerequisites? You need to do much more than MA. MA is the basic, and when you come to M.Phil, your quality must be much more. So what are the things expected from you? First is you must have some idea about research methodology. What is research and how to do research? So in philosophy itself, you have different methods like skepticism, skeptical method, phenomenology is a way of doing philosophy, analytic philosophy, analysis is a way of doing philosophy, comparative philosophy, there you compare philosophy from different traditions. You can compare Western tradition with the Indian tradition. That's called comparative philosophy. Then hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is the interpretation of a text. So these are different methods of philosophy. And apart from this, you must be clear about research methodology, how to do research, qualitative research, quantitative, and how to collect data. So such things are available online. You can Google it and find the resources. Then you must have a comprehensive idea about philosophy. Comprehensive means you must know everything, all the major debates, all the major concepts, all the major thinkers, their ideas. You must be clear, comprehensive idea about it. Gulam Sabir asking, MA Philosophy Entrance Test Series link, sir, please. Definitely, we'll share the link. I'll respond to you after this lecture. Please start commenting. I'll be answering your questions soon. Then you must have a comparative approach. Comparative means Indian Western or East-West approach. For example, a comparison means soul or the spirit. In Indian philosophy, you find self in Sri Shankara, self in Sankhya philosophy, and you find self in the philosophy of Plato, Aristotle, and so on. So you can make a comparison between the idea of self in Shankara and the idea of self in Plato. Can we have such a comparative study? So such an approach is called a comparative philosophy. That's a comparative method. Then you should have a good analytic skills. You must be able to analyze the data, analyze the concepts. Then more than that, you must be clear about and aware about the contemporary debates, or the modern, or the present day debates in philosophy, present day discourses, like that. Then what is the most important thing for a M.Phil entrance? Once you clear the test, then your most difficult thing is to make a research proposal. So research proposal, what must be your research proposal? When I came to JNU for my entrance, that time we had a integrated PhD. You join for M.Phil, M.Phil/PhD. So after completing M.Phil, you can directly join for PhD. So there are no separate tests. But right now, university has de-linked. So now there is no M.Phil PhD. You have to complete M.Phil. Then you have to appear for another test, get qualified. Then you join for a PhD. So in our times, it was different. So that's not relevant here. So when I came for interview, my initial plan was to do research in art and knowledge. Can we know through studying different works of art? So that time I had a crude idea. I had a kind of vague idea about my research. So I spoke in the interview that I want to do research in cognition, art and cognition. Then they asked me a lot of questions. I was not able to answer the questions, and I had a rather difficult time. And in the second half, I was able to answer the questions, and finally I convinced the interview board, and later I got selected. So when you come for M.Phil research proposal, you will have a vague idea about what you are going to do. So M.Phil is a time for you to still think about your area of study and choose an area of study for your future research. So you must, when you come for interview, you must produce a research proposal. A research proposal is an outline of what you are going to do in your coming period of time. So you must prepare a research proposal in a standard research format. It has to be 1,500 words. 1,500 words long research proposal. So there's a particular format. It has to begin with an introduction, a literature review, and problematic. What's the problem you find in your area of passion? Then some research questions and some books that you have read. So you must prepare a research proposal of about 1,500 words. Apart from that, you must have a lot of background reading. You must read a lot. For example, if you are interested in analytic tradition, or the or phenomenology of Heidegger, or a phenomenology of Sartre, you must have a lot of reading regarding your person of interest. If you are interested in Heidegger, you must be familiar with the books of Heidegger. You must be familiar with the people who commented on Heidegger, people who wrote on Heidegger. If you are planning to do on Derrida, you must be familiar with the books of Derrida. You must be clear about all the concepts of Derrida and all those who commented on Derrida, like that. Then the most important thing is that you must know the faculty members of JNU. What are their research interests? And when you come for prepare a research proposal for M.Phil, it is better to have at least 2 proposals in your mind. You don't be satisfied with one proposal. Of course, you will have a passion regarding one area, but at the same time, you must have a second option. For example, when you come for the viva or interview, they'll ask you towards the end, do you have any other option? Are you thinking of doing in any other area of study? So if you say like that, no, this is what I want to do. But I would suggest that you be flexible. You be open to their suggestions. If the faculty members of JNU philosophy are not comfortable with your proposal, either they can select your first one or the second one. So you must prepare one proposal and you must think about another in your background that you don't have to write and present, that you keep with yourself. When they ask you in the interview, you can talk to them. So now let's come to the PhD entrance. PhD, and this time I think the seats are very less. For a direct PhD, there's only, through the entrance test, they select only one person. And through JRF, one person. So total intake will be 2. So the total number of people will be invited for interview will be 10. So out of 10 candidates, 2 will be selected. So there will be tight competition. It's going to be very tough. So I'm not going to create a panic in you and make you scared, but I'm telling you to be prepared, be clear. Because the seats are very less, just 2. So what are the requirements? So in order to get qualified, you must have a M.Phil with either an M.Phil with the 55% or MA philosophy with the MA with the 55% of score. So the qualification will be either M.Phil with the 55% or MA with the 55%. Then they don't demand any publication. For example, they will not ask you whether you have any published articles in any reputed journals. So it's not clearly asked. But if you have any published articles, it will be an advantage for you. So that you can talk about, you can produce. If you have a published article that shows your intellectual caliber, so it will be benefit for you, and so that will be an extra additional feature or additional qualification. But it's not mandatory in the selection process. The most important thing is that you must have a systematically prepared research proposal. So by the time you come for a PhD in philosophy, you must have an area of passion. You must be genuinely interested in one area of study that you have to pick up. There you must not be confused whether to do this or that. So you must have a clarity regarding what you are going to do in the coming 4 years. So it must be clear. So here you have to produce a research proposal that is very detailed. You have to write a research proposal of 2,500 words. In the case of M.Phil, your research proposal is just 1,500. But in the case of PhD, your research proposal must be around 2,500 words. So it must be clear. There must be a clear introduction, a clear title. What's your title? Then an introduction. Then there's a research, literature review, your background reading, and problematic. So problematic is a real problem you find in your area of passion. So you'll be passionate about, for example, in my case, I'm very passionate about metaphor. So I'm studying metaphor in my research. So I deal with the problems of the theory of metaphor in John Searle and Donald Davidson. So I'm exploring a problem that I found in these people. So when you come for a PhD in philosophy, you must be precise, you must be clear, it must be very evident what exactly you want to do. So in M.Phil it can be a little vague, but when you come for PhD, you must have a clear problem within you. And it must be your passion. You may love something, and you want to do it. So in your interview, you must show your research aptitude, and you must show your interest in that subject. So you have to convince the people sitting over there. So you can take a contemporary debate in philosophy and explore that. So what is research? Research is a kind of you are pushing the boundaries of knowledge. For example, knowledge has some limits right now. So you read you when you are familiar with the knowledge, the thought process of a time, you find that there is some problem there. In research, you find some existing problem and you try to solve it, or you try to interpret it in a different way. So in a way, when you do research, we are pushing the boundaries of knowledge. You are making the knowledge wider. So we are exploring more. So you must be clear about what you are going to do, what exactly you want to do in your 4 years of study in JNU. So you'll be given at least 2 years to prepare your synopsis, then another 2 years for writing your thesis. So that is a future action. But what is important now is to prepare a systematic research proposal. So you can take, for your research proposal, it's not necessary that you take a contemporary debate. So you can even take a classical evergreen discourses and debates. So you can even talk about Plato or anything else. Or you can come to the contemporary debates in artificial intelligence or cognitive science or applied ethics. You can take anything. But you must be clear about what you are going to do. That is most important. Of course, there's a format for writing your research proposal. You cannot write as you like, but it must be systematic. As I said, title, introduction, literature review, problematic, research questions, and tentative chapter plan. How many chapters you are going to write? What will be the title of the chapters? What are the sections of the chapters? And then bibliography. Bibliography means what are the major thinkers you are going to read, and what are the major books that you are going to read, so that you must give. So for these things, we will help you. You can directly mail us and directly message us. We'll help you and send you the research proposal format. And we welcome you to visit the campus when the lockdown is lifted, and you can talk to some of us and the faculty members or any other experts, and you can even meet some experts in your hometown and talk about how to prepare a research proposal, what to do, and things like that. At the same time, you will have a passion, and the faculty members of JNU philosophy will have their own passions. So it is not necessary that your passion will coincide with the passion of the JNU faculty members. For example, you will be passionate about some debate in philosophy of science, and you come with a proposal of philosophy of science in Karl Popper or Thomas Kuhn. But at the same time, from my understanding, there's nobody in philosophy center in JNU is passionate about philosophy of science. There's nobody to guide you. So even if you score much better in the Viva and you come with the research proposal that nobody in the faculty is interested in, then you will be rejected. So what I'm telling you, you must know the interest of the faculty members here, and you can come for interview if and only if there's some match of the interest. So otherwise it will be difficult for you to get selected. So you must know the nature of the pitch and play. So if you don't know the nature of the pitch, and if you start hitting the ball, then you'll be dismissed. So the thing is that metaphor, I used a metaphor. So what I'm telling you is to know the intellectual climate or the intellectual ambience of JNU philosophy department and prepare your research proposal. So as far as I'm concerned, these are the major, the thrust of our center. Analytic philosophy, there are experts in analysis, experts in phenomenology, experts in ethics and meta-ethics. Philosophy of language is another thriving area. Philosophy of mind, and we do some cognitive science, political philosophy, then classical and contemporary Indian philosophy, feminism, environmental philosophy, and applied philosophy. And I'm telling you, there are many other areas of philosophy that none of the faculty members in JNU are interested. Things like philosophy of science, philosophy of art, and philosophy of philosophical aesthetics, philosophy of religion, philosophy of God. You come with a proposal like St. Thomas Aquinas' idea of God, or St. Augustine's idea of God, or philosophical aesthetics of Nietzsche, or if you come with a research proposal of Karl Marx's idea of classless society. So the thing is that you must know that in JNU philosophy department, if you come with these areas like philosophy of science, philosophy of art, philosophy of religion, philosophy of God, philosophy of aesthetics, philosophy of Marxism, so these areas are very difficult. You may not find a suitable supervisor. So there is nobody to guide you. It's not because these areas are not interesting, but at present there is nobody to guide you in these areas. So I am telling you, if you are interested in philosophy of science, philosophy of art, and philosophical aesthetics, religion, God, and Marxism, or these ideas, you will find it difficult to find a supervisor in JNU philosophy department. It is very difficult. So what I am telling you is to study the faculty members, their passion, their area of interest. Then you try to study your own personal passion. What do you want to do? Because you are spending 4 years in your life for something. It must be your passion. So when you invest your time, it must be something for something good. So you should not do some kind of compromise. So otherwise you will be disappointed after a few years. So what I'm telling you, your research must be your area of passion. In my case, I am exploring my passion. That is a metaphor. That is a metaphoric way of thinking and a metaphoric communication. The difference between literal thinking and metaphorical way of communication. So what is most important is that those who want to do PhD in JNU come with a standard research proposal of 2,500 words in the clear standard format of this university, and you must be clear, you must be passionate, you must engage with the faculty members in the debate during your viva. You must and you must convince them, and they will level best to discourage you, but you must try to convince them. And if you are able to convince them, you will be selected. Otherwise, you may be rejected. So I have been talking about the strategy to crack the major entrance test and viva like Masters in Philosophy. There you should have a fundamental basic idea about the entire philosophical tradition. Then how to crack the M.Phil test and M.Phil interview, and how to write a research proposal. Then in PhD, what are the PhD? You must be very clear. Much more will be expected from you. Of course, and we are here to facilitate in your preparation, and we are happy to send you the notes and the links. So please contact any of us. My name is Joseph. You can text me directly. My phone number is 9562879149. You can WhatsApp me. I'll send you the links. Or you can talk to any of your friends in JNU, and I will communicate through them. And I'm happy to, I have a collection of most of these books, and I'll be happy to send you these books. And maybe later you can visit the campus and talk to some of us regarding your research proposal, and get ready for the test and viva. So I wish you all the best, and catch you later. Probably we'll meet again with another session on any area of your concern or any of your problem. Thanks for watching.